Suara indah, ramah penuh cinta, damai jiwa, tulus terasa nyata. Kita kabarkan berita, membuka cakrawala. Bertaut udara di gelombang semesta. Kita Indonesia, sesungguhnya langit aspirasi bangsa. Kita Indonesia, sesungguhnya kita hadir bagi dunia. Kita Indonesia. Gaya, budaya, alam katulistiwa. Kita kabarkan berita, membuka cakrawala. Semua bertaut udara di gelombang semesta. Kita Indonesia, sesungguhnya langit aspirasi bangsa. Kita Indonesia, sesungguhnya kita hadir bagi dunia. Kita Indonesia, sesungguhnya langit aspirasi bangsa. Kita Indonesia, sesungguhnya kita hadir bagi dunia. Kita Indonesia, sesungguhnya langit aspirasi bangsa. Kita Indonesia, sesungguhnya kita hadir bagi dunia. Kita Indonesia, sesungguhnya.
Voice of Indonesia from Indonesia to the world listener. You're still listening to the Voice of Indonesia on RRI.net and also through the voinews.id and the application RRI Digital. Listener, the whole world, media, and also a lot of movements are focusing on the report from UN Special Rapporteur Francesca Albanese, which revealed companies allegedly supporting Israel occupation and war on Gaza. And to know what UN says about the report and what kind of action that we need to do, we'll talk with Miklos Gaspar, the director of United Nations Information Center, Jakarta. Good afternoon, Miklos Gaspar.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you really clearly. So I'd like to know, sir, what is the UN's assessment of the current humanitarian crisis in Gaza and what the UN will say towards the recent report about the companies allegedly supporting Israel?
Yes, okay. Thank you for that, and thank you for the opportunity to clarify the position of the United Nations and to inform your listeners about this very important topic and grave development in Gaza. So let me start by saying that the United Nations remains gravely concerned about the humanitarian situation that's unfolding in Gaza. The Secretary General has described the suffering as unbearable. Nearly 21 months into this conflict, civilians in Gaza are enduring relentless displacement, starvation, and destruction on an unprecedented scale. Fuel is running out. Hospitals are barely functioning. Water and sanitation systems have collapsed. Humanitarian access is being strangled, even denied. Furthermore, over 463 aid workers have been killed, including more than 300 UN staff, most of them from UNRWA, the backbone of humanitarian operations in Gaza. UNRWA provides food, healthcare, shelter, and education to over 2 million people, the entire population, almost the entire population of Gaza. There's no other agency that can replicate the scale, access, and enjoys the same trust within the community. The Secretary General has also expressed numerous times his concern about the use of the so-called Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. This is militarized in arms production, surveillance, logistic, construction, or finance. And that some or several of these companies are not Israeli companies, but are companies from outside the region. At the same time, I'd like to underline that it's important to clarify that these findings came from a report by a UN Special Rapporteur, who is an independent expert appointed by the Human Rights Council. As with all special rapporteurs, their findings and recommendations are not official UN positions. They are not UN staff. They do not speak on behalf of the United Nations. They speak on their capacity and under a mandate that was given to them by the Human Rights Council. However, in general, I can say that the UN continues to emphasize that businesses have responsibilities under the UN guiding principles on business and human rights. They must avoid causing or contributing to human rights abuses and take steps to identify, prevent, and mitigate any negative impacts that their operations may have. Where credible evidence exists, allegations of any corporate complicity must be thoroughly investigated, and accountability must follow in line with international law.
And based on this, you said that these businesses has to follow the principles of UN, and therefore, what can we do, the people and the government, to regarding this allegation, and also in an effort to ensure the accountability and also to protect the civilians in Gaza?
Well. So all parties to a conflict, any conflict, be they state and non-state actors, public, i.e. governments, or private individuals, they all have obligations under international humanitarian and human rights law. This, first and foremost, includes the protection of civilians, the facilitation of humanitarian aid, and the pursuit of accountability when violations occur. During the 21 months of the conflict, the Secretary General of the UN has numerous times called on all parties of the conflict to protect civilians, enable the facilitation of humanitarian aid, and also to pursue accountability, and at the same time, release the hostages unconditionally. Governments all over the world have a duty to regulate business enterprises within their jurisdiction and ensure that they conduct proper human rights due diligence, especially when operating in conflict-affected areas such as Gaza these days. National and international accountability mechanisms must be strengthened to address serious violations and ensure justice for all victims. Corporations need to remain vigilant in assessing their operations as well as their supply chains, so their subcontractors. If there are links that may contribute to harm against civilians or to violations of international law, they must take appropriate action, whether that means disengaging from contracts, enhancing transparency, or strengthening all kinds of safeguards. At the same time, all stakeholders, including civil society and the general public, have a role in promoting respect for international law and responsible business conduct, and perhaps this interview that now you're conducting with me is along those lines. Transparency, constructive engagement, and public awareness can contribute to ensuring that companies uphold their human rights responsibilities, particularly in situations of armed conflict. Accountability is not optional. That's again something that the Secretary General has said numerous times. It is essential to ensuring that the laws and principles designed to protect civilians in any war situation are upheld. The people of Gaza and of any other conflict-affected region, from Sudan to Ukraine, need more than words. They need action, protection, and justice.
So from this, that we know that everybody from the civil society, government, corporates, all of us share the similar obligation towards avoid harming civilians in any form, in any contribution, any form of contribution, and also violating international human rights law. Okay, thank you very much, Miklos Gaspar, for joining us in the Voice of Indonesia.
Thank you for having me.
And listener, that is the director of United Nations Information Center Jakarta, Miklos Gaspar, related to the recent report from Francesca Albanese, and he emphasized that it is not reflecting or even representing UN in this report, and despite that, everybody needs to be responsible in any action, like in the people, the business, the government, everybody, not only in Gaza, but in any conflict that is ongoing in the world. Okay, listener, you can listen again to this conversation on our YouTube channel, VOI Official.